And boom, I should be live, except my camera's not on. Damn it. Okay, I'm going to try this one more time. Okay, I should be live and this should be working. Let me just confirm that it is. I'm sorry for the trouble tonight. I tried, I don't know what, this is the first time actually with Wirecast, which is the broadcasting, the streaming software I use. This hasn't worked, and I don't know what the deal is, but so as a result, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't show the comments tonight, which kind of throws me off my rhythm. I can handhold the camera at it, but that kind of sucks. I don't know what's up. Well, let me just check that we do actually have comments at least, and that you can all hear me okay. And wow, what a mess. Okay, there I am, looking frustrated, which I am, but that's okay. This should have a little HD button at least, which I don't see. Anyway, you can view this in 720p, so go and do that. I'm going to stop that, and well, look at that, 13 people, so 16 people still watching the other one, so I'll tell them I am live now on the video. Link below the video player. Make sure that the link in the old video is showing, so I can do that. Damn it. Damn it. Well, 19, so people are figuring it out. Let me just... So, yes. Anyway, new link is below the video. Please go to the link below the vid and join the party. Oh, well, it's not going to be flash tonight. It's going to be simple, but nothing wrong with that every now and then, right? Plus, it means I can look directly at you, because actually, I will look at the comments which are beside the screen there, but in fact, why don't we make it cozy? I'm going to put them up beside the video right here. So I'm going to delete the old video because that's a waste of time. Now, you can all see the link below the video, the Flipboard, so you might as well open that up, at least when I get to talking about news stories. Let's show the shelf for the Bruce, but the mess on the floor, that's okay. I'm here. Okay. So I should hold the mic a little bit closer. I was actually featured, by the way, this week on ANW, Asian News Week, I think. It's Steve Miller, QI Ranger, Key Rangers podcast, talking about where Asia's gone in the last 69 years since the end of World War II and where it's going to. It's going to be for the 8/15, for the anniversary of the end of World War II show. Go and check it out, because there is a guy with a voice for podcasting and radio and whatnot. Key Ranger, he has an awesome voice. Oh, I wish I was going to sit a bit higher up in the seat. Boom. Okay, well, I can see that at least. Yeah, so that was pretty cool. I mean, I just talked nonstop for 10 minutes, which, of course, as you know, for me is not hard. I've practically rolled down a hill without brakes. I don't stop even when I'm supposed to. The countdown for the YouTube summer party, and yes, it's in September, so I guess technically it's not summer, but it's still stinking hot, and for me that means it's summer. The countdown video, if you've all seen, if you can, well, two things. The RSVP page on Facebook is public, so please, if you can come and RSVP. We've already got, like, how many people now? Like 106 people confirmed coming. Which means actually I'm going to go and make sure that we can get the VIP to ourselves, because we're VIPs and we have the room, we have the people for it now. It's an awesome deal. It's a great club. It's going to be a fantastic party. It is the greatest party of the year. We had the best YouTube party ever in March for the YouTube Hanami this year. There's something about the community. It's just booming at the moment, which is great. And can't wait to have you guys. And the thing about the Hanami is that it's during the day, and, you know, it's kind of, you're at the mercy of the weather. We just had a really great party, but this is in Roppongi. It's at night. There could be a typhoon like there's been tonight and yesterday, and that'd be totally fine. So, you know, it's going to be pretty sweet. There already are many people confirmed coming from out of town. So, as usual, it's going to be an awesome party. So go click on the RSVP because that helps us. I'm going to put up like a playlist of videos of people and so on who are coming. There'll be prize draws, all that sort of stuff. So use the RSVP for the party so that we know how many people are coming. And yes, you can check out the awesome countdown, which since I'm here, we might as well go and have a look. Where is the awesome countdown that I posted up here? Victor did a pretty good video about beating YouTubers, which is kind of a funny, it's a funny thing when you are meeting internet people for the first time. Let me see if I can find a countdown. Really? I know where I can find it. I can find it from my live events page. So if you want to know how long it's going to be until the YouTube party, you can see it right here. It's going to be 26 days, 19 hours, 35 minutes, and 57 seconds from now until that party. There are not many comments, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 comments on that. I guess I'll tweak the address. I want to get more comments, get a thing going. 9 thumbs up. Come on, this is going to be like the best countdown video ever, if you ask me. So yes, I don't know why my throat's a bit croaky today, but that's okay. I'm going to take it easy a little bit. Boom. So let's get into at least 38 people watching now. So we got most of the crowd, and like before, 9 likes, which people just don't. Well, that's all right. Whenever I start asking for likes, I get unlikes or whatever, which is I can take it. Okay, so let's have a look at the comments. Let's see who's here. Let's see. Johnny5 Live says Razal Gul. Wee says Robert 1967 Canada. Good to see you. Lacey. Hello. Good to see you as always. Moshi. Kanteza Kikoemasu ka. That's right. Can you hear me? I hope you can hear me because otherwise I'm in trouble. 3 old dudes. You just been to 2 places at once, so to speak. Well, that's right. You were at 2 live streams, although the first one was a mess up. Scott Munger. Topic today: early abduction or traumatic event in X-Files. Mulder lost time, like 6 minutes. This happened to you once. You lost 101 minutes. You only have 1 clue. A movie minute with this with the letters TMNT. Don't be too harsh on the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because my cousin is one of the writers. Although I don't think of the movie, just of the comics. Which last year the comic stuff is, I mean, to still be awesome, but yeah, apparently the movie sucked pretty bad. Sorry, cuz. But yes, don't know about that. Razal Gul. Cousin Neil Mario Kart 8 Drift King Bro. That doesn't make sense to me, but well, it kind of does, but it doesn't. Contents, I hate Robert. That's right, we've got Robert. Everyone hate contents, everyone's saying hello to each other. You can all hear me. Whoa, there's no camera. That's right. I was working and not working, then I left, and Zakaro is there, Travis Moore is there, Russ Son is there, Yerald Max is there, Ray Renard is there. It's a big party. Brian McNeil sees me. I owe you a review. I've been busy. I haven't written my own thing. Oh man. But yes, it's good to see you, and it's going to be good to see you at the party indeed. DJ Bruce Lee, that's right. It's a good T-shirt. I got it in Malaysia. It was $6. 3 old dudes. That's right. Open up a tab with the broadcast on it. Yeah. Well, it's a long story. I use streaming software, which is a pain, but that's right. I do open up a tab with the thing on it. And yes, you will be at the party. Michael Peckett, Typhoon passed Osaka today, and it's gone. It's raged through here as well. We had some pretty big kind of dumps of rain and some gusts of wind, but nothing really major. Unfortunately, we get typhoons all the time in Japan, although it looks like where it hit hard, it hit pretty hard today. Razagul, Cousin Neil, don't think feel. Okay, got it. Cousin Neil, that's right. Rumsok Gaijin, all right, here you go. Missed the last few live shows, but finally going to sit down with some rum to enjoy the show. Yes, good on you with the Rumsok stuff. Chris, konbanwa, dudes and dudettes, good Morgan. Chris in Germany, good to see you. Bradley Ford, hello. And Scott Munger, did I ever get stalked or scared? I think stoked is possible, I don't know. After meeting a fan or a YouTuber. Have I ever been freaked out by meeting a YouTube viewer? Well, I'm not gonna lie. There's one incident. There's been one incident. I won't name the person involved, although I guess when I say this, I'll know what they are. And I don't mean to make you feel personal, but this is just like a pro tip for when you meet. Because I'm pretty open to meeting people, and I'm pretty open to going out for lunch. I love to meet you guys. So I guess if I could ask one favor, and it was something which came up in Victor's video, which is why everyone has to go and watch the video because the stuff in that is real. So once I was given a gift, which please don't bring gifts, but I don't like to get gifts, but I got a gift, and so be polite, I'll take it. It was in like a plastic bag, and that's okay. So I took it out, and it was a bottle of something, and I couldn't quite tell what it was. It had no label on it. It was just a bottle. I noticed it did have masking tape around the top, which looked very much to me like it had been hampered with. And it was red. And the guy said to me, "So this is my present to you. This is a blood-based alcohol. It's like vodka with meat blood mixed in with it." And I'm looking at this red bottle of blood-based alcohol with like masking tape around the top of it. And he said, "I want you to drink it." He gave it to me, and I said thank you. And I lost my appetite completely. And I wasn't in the right place for that either. I was actually in an African restaurant. And I wanted to go to the African restaurant because they had lamb. They have strong, meaty tasting food. So that should have been very cool, but this guy, I was so grossed out by this thing. Not gonna lie, I was totally grossed out. I mean, God, and the whole situation to me, I became uncomfortable. And when I got it, I tell you, on the way back to work after meeting this guy for lunch, first rubbish bin outside a convenience store, I threw it in the rubbish bin. And the guy, when I met the guy a couple of months later, he says, first thing he asked me, "Hiko, did you drink it?" And I was like, well, I could have said, well, actually, I didn't, and look, I'm fine. But no, I told him, actually, no, I threw it away. I didn't drink it. Are you kidding? So please don't do that. I don't. Yeah, that was really bad, and honestly, that wasn't cool. So please don't do that. I've met dozens of people before, and that was the only time I've ever been freaked out. But, geez, that was weird. So, sorry, dude. I don't think you're in the crowd at the moment. Maybe this will get back to you. But, I told you I didn't drink it. I told you that was fucking gross. Seriously. Like, please don't do that. I mean, I wish everyone could just be like Ami. See, she was awesome. Everyone saw the video of me meeting up with Ami, right? Yeah, that was really cool. She's just been going around Japan. And that was awesome. Check my videos anyway. There's a video of her. I think she's got a minute. There's some photos online from when she met Kat McDowell as well. She's very cool with the Kiwis. She's a cool girl. So anyway, that's right. Since you're asking, Scott, I've been a little bit freaked out. I'm not scared. Just. Ugh. And poor guy, because this guy from the restaurant, I can't go back into that restaurant. I was just so nauseated being in that restaurant. I haven't been able to go back in, but the thing is, I walk past the restaurant, and the owner of the restaurant's really nice, and he says hello to me every day, or every time I go to the gym, even though I haven't been back in for like 2 years. It's like a Togo restaurant, and I feel guilty because it was through no fault of the food at this place was great. I've been there twice. I should go back again, but I was kind of traumatized. Not cool. So yeah. By the way, Chris, apparently dudette has another meaning. Look it up. I'm not sure, but apparently it's not good to say dudette. Although that was used in a circumstance at work that was pretty close to harassment of another person, not of me, obviously. Razogul asking, have I seen Godzilla? I've not seen Godzilla. I'd like to see Godzilla. Although maybe a couple more years. The lad is 4 years old at the moment. It might be a little bit small, maybe 2 or 3 more years, and then maybe. But I will get around to watching it. Mike Gurumitsu, don't worry about being late. You just missed a bunch of crap. I had a lot of technical problems tonight, which I'm sorry for that. So yeah. Dan Scassa, you didn't get skipped. I was coming back to you. Okay. You're also there. You're taking a break from the work, which I'm glad to hear. So you should always take breaks from work. I'm sorry about that. And you have a slightly tiny icon. Yep, but that's okay. Contents, I'd like to hear from you about the Asahi Shimbun stance regarding fabricated comfort women stories. Oh, you're trying to get me in trouble. 困らせようとしてるんだよね。Contentsさん。はい、もうぜひ。ついに、ここになってしまいましたね。Okay, I am going to talk about that. That's not actually in my Flipboard topics tonight anyway, because it came out pretty recently. I think I talked about it briefly with my man in Korea, with Key Ranger the other day. And I guess I should explain to you what that's about, because it's kind of big news. There's only a couple more comments. I'll read those, and then I'll talk about Sashi Shimbun, and then I'll get into the news topics. Sound good? Hello, Alex Stratus, good to see you. Ray Renard, Sea of Japan, Nihonkai, I Hibiki, not EC. Yeah, well, I mean, EC, you talk about a completely, I mean, I know that Sea of Japan sounds a little bit self-centric. Not that Japan is responsible for calling it Sea of Japan. But yeah, it sounds a little bit self-centric, sure, but EC, I mean, seriously, like EC, it's actually like, it's like the left-hand sea. Why don't I just call it the left-hand sea? That way everyone could just turn around on both sides of their EC and make sure it's on the left, and claim, like, the Koreans can face down and the Japanese can face up and it be on the left, and everyone could call it the sea on the left. EC, I think that's so self-centric and stupid and immature, honestly. I mean, you know, of course that's what you'd say if you're from that one country, but Jesus, you know, anyway, that's right, it sounds completely retarded. Just my view. So that's right, blame it on the boogie. Yes, blaming it on the boogie, or you know what, that could have been Charlie Sheen's Tiger Blood, in which case, well, that would have been a better explanation than the one that I got. And he could have put it in a nicer bottle that didn't have tape around it, that looked like it had been opened up and had something put into it and then taped up again. Anyway. Brian McNeil, yes, that would have creeped you out, right? It creeped me out. That was pretty intense. The Hungarians, apparently, Ruslan, the Hungarians invented pasteurization by drinking bull's blood. I didn't know that. I thought it was for milk. But since no one else spoke Hungarian, we had to wait for the French. I get it. So they actually had something like pasteurization in Hungary, but they just, no one else. Yeah, well, Hungarian's a difficult language. Related to Japanese, believe it or not. My father's Hungarian. He speaks Hungarian. Lamb, that's right, the best meat by far indeed. Nobody in Poland eats it. Why not? Really too much beef, and it's stupid expensive. In New Zealand, lamb is like water. It's so cheap. If you were to give a gift, you'd probably give a small bottle of Polish vodka, but yeah, with no meat in it, please. It's not really your sort of thing, but it's up there with Russian and global fame. Of course, Polish vodka, I guess. Although, honestly, I'm not into drinking that stuff so much. Honestly, some Polish chocolate or something like that, that'd be cool. With a box that obviously has not been tampered with would be nice. Chris, probably another case of band bossy type, offended by the words things. Good to know. That's right. Because it ain't one of the certain left angles, only from within Japan. Because it isn't on the left from certain angles, only from within Japan. That's right. Well, it's indiscriminate anyway. Good evening, and watcher to Barringer, who has just joined us. Okay, I'm going to come back. Yes, Asahi Shimbun. Let's get into, since we're getting into the controversy stuff. And I like Korea. You know, they're cool people. So understand that, you know, this really is immaterial actually to the reality of what's been going on in Korea. But such as it is. So the comfort women issue. The comfort women issue was triggered by many things. Of course, the comfort women being made comfort women is the main trigger of it. However, you know, as tends to happen after wars, people tend to go and put all these things kind of behind them, and they kind of hold on to the grudges and whatnot. And there's a shopping list of grudges that Korea has against Japan. But, you know, they somehow waited 20 years. They finally established diplomatic relations. Japan paid a crapload of reparations to Korea, where they called it even with the current president's father. And they were kind of stumbling forward, forging ahead with relations. Within Japan, there are for the mainstream, there's two types of press. There's the weekly magazines and tabloids, and there's the mainstream press. And the mainstream press, what you read, generally has always been a flag of your political affiliation, and particularly less so over time, but those affiliations used to be very strong. The Yomiuri and Sankei far right wing, so if you were conservative, love, not sorry about the war, all that sort of stuff, you'd buy the Yomiuri, and it would have editorials that would support your view. And if you were left-wing and feel like, the fascists and the communists were responsible for ruining the country and taking it into war, and Japan should really become communist or some sort of socialist country, best friends with North Korea, kick out all the US bases and all that sort of stuff. If you were like a liberal, left-wing, you read the Asahi. The Asahi kind of revels politically in playing up Japan's victimization during the war. Again, this is connected with the end of the war date thing as well. Or actually not, well, with two things. One, the victimization, showing what a disaster the right wing and the fascist government in Japan was for the country, and also playing up what a terrible country Japan was, and how much Japan should kind of try to be nice to Korea because they were so bad in the past. And if there are going to be revelations about war crimes and the terrible things that Japan did during the war, they won't usually be brought out in the Yomiuri or the Sankei. They'll be brought out in the Asahi, which is the flagship of the socialist and the communist parties of Japan and all of their supporters, which in the 60s and 70s and 80s were, 50% of the population in Japan. So in a bunch of articles talking about all the terrible things that Japan did to Korea, and by the way, also they always like to put up rumors. It's a bit like talking about Jewish people working in, liberal Jewish people working in the New York Times, that, rednecks always point that out. Rednecks in Japan point out Zainichi Koreans working in the Asahi, and apparently there are, they're everywhere, honestly. I mean, there's actually, I've got a lot of great friends who are Zainichis, and they are everywhere in Tokyo. I mean, they often take Japanese names, so it's possible you've got Zainichi friends without knowing it. But they're everywhere. They're pretty significant. I mean, I think statistically they're like 2% of the population, or foreigners are 2% of the population. But really, Zainichis, I think you'll find, are probably 5 to 10, if you count people who are naturalized or use Japanese identities. And this whole kind of hidden fifth column thing is a big thing that the right likes to play up, and they like to highlight examples of kind of anti-Japanese propaganda that gets put up in Japanese media. And one case which they always cite is the comfort woman thing, which really didn't, but it wasn't a hot political topic or diplomatic issue between Japan or Korea until a series of feature articles on the story were run by Asahi, I think between the 70s, 80s, and through the 90s, or something like 13 reprints of the coverage, where basically they found some people, some from the Japanese military side, who talked about how they worked in a special unit, or they found one guy in particular who said he worked for a special unit of the Japanese military on Jeju Island that would run around abducting women and gang pressing them, I think is the expression, grabbing them and putting them into sex slavery service in the Japanese military. And this man's confession was the feature point. Probably it was a paid interview, and it was the feature point of an article which got published over and over by the Asahi about how terrible Japan was during the war and how it needs to give more concessions and be nicer to Korea. And in Korea, this got picked up. And they were like, wow, this really, they really were terrible. They really do need to apologize for this. And it kind of started kind of slow, but it kind of built up over time, and it became sparked as a historical and a diplomatic issue by the Asahi articles. So as the comfort woman issue came up and real comfort women became coming forward and giving their testimony, and this started to become a big international issue that just made Japan look terrible about how Japan went around abducting women and putting them into sex slavery. And there were many cases. I mean, there are actual documented cases in Indonesia and so on, where it actually, in Japan and the Nazis are the only countries that have used prisoners of war as sex slaves. However, given the large size of the comfort woman thing, which included Chinese and Japanese and Koreans, I mean, all working. And the Japanese government always said that these were women, these were paid women. This was a professional thing. I mean, the government kept records of how much they paid and so on, in principle, as a system. But the Asahi was coming out and saying, well, no, this was a militarized system of slavery, of sex slavery. It was, which is just, those are two words you don't want to put together. And this became something in the United Nations, human rights things. It became this major flashpoint building up to the 1990 Kono Statement, where in the middle of the statement they said, Japan came out and set up a fund to compensate the comfort women, funded by the Japanese government and private donors, and an apology was given by the cabinet secretary acknowledging the truth of the comfort woman system and the fact that it involved coercion. A lot of Japanese people who, however, throughout all of this, apparently it came out not long after the Asahi Shimbun story that the guy, the feature guy from the battalion that went around abducting people on Jeju Island, apparently follow-up journalists went to Jeju Island to try to find someone to corroborate the story. And no one could. No one would verify it. And it turned out they looked into the guy, some guy called Yoshida, and it turns out he's a convicted con artist who's kind of guilty of making up stories for money. And everyone's kind of saying, well, the Asahi, in spite of knowing that, and in spite of all of that coming out, the Asahi never background checked the story or the guy, and it kept reprinting the story. And the whole comfort woman thing gained momentum. The key horse-traded part of the Kono statement, apologizing for the comfort woman thing, was the coercion part, because Japanese military or Japanese government still basically asserts that, at least there's no question, there were war crimes involving rape and involving abduction and rape of prisoners, including the systematic rape and forced prostitution of Dutch women in Indonesia. It happened all over China. No doubt it happened in Korea and places like that as well. But the idea that the entire comfort woman system was based on abduction and sex slavery, and that it was based on coercion, was something that people objected to. And the Asahi was the only source of, this particular story was the only real source of that. However, in the diplomatic haggling between Korea and Japan, and then, by the way, this was corroborated in the end by some of the testimonies of some of the comfort women themselves. Japan, in the final statement that came out, said that they did this, that it included coercion. And this coercion thing is something that basically forever, Abe, the whole LDP, the whole Yomiuri, everybody's come out and said, look, this article was just made up by the Asahi to humiliate Japan, and look at the damage that it's done to Japan and Japan's reputation because of this issue that was started by the Asahi. Now that's BS, because of course the issue wasn't started by the Asahi. The issue was started by the fact that the comfort woman system happened and Japan committed a lot of war crimes during World War II that involved this sort of thing. However, the Asahi article, which was clearly erroneous, and was found decades ago to be erroneous, but they never kind of owned up to it. They just kept reprinting it. Threw a lot of petrol on an already very flammable fire. And, if you talk about the single biggest reason that Japan can't talk to Korea at the moment and that they're in such poor diplomatic relations, it's because of this issue. And so, needlessly aggravating the issue in either way is just not a good thing. And the Asahi Shimbun came out last week, and they admitted for the first time that they've researched into the Yoshida guy's statements, and they've found that they were not reliable, and they retract all the instances of his statement and all the articles, which were reprinted more than a dozen times. And this is not helpful because, for one thing, I mean, if you want to say it's done a lot of damage, it's done a lot of damage. We'll never know whether the issue would have come up regardless, or whether or not Asahi had run the story the way that they did. Fact is that it's out there. But the problem is that now you've got a situation that the people who really want to aggressively deny all of this and say, screw you, Korea, and you got, and all that sort of thing, which really isn't, now that you're in this situation, it's not the right way out. But the people who are on the right feel so vindicated that they've been calling the Asahi liars about this for 30 years, and everyone's saying, you're just saying that about the Asahi because you just hate the left wing. And they've been proven right. And the Asahi's admitted now it was wrong, and they're getting bashed. And the LDP is calling a parliamentary commission. They're going to call them into parliament. And they want to do a governmental investigation of how this happened, and the purpose of it is just to try to destroy the Asahi over this, which the right wings wanted to do for all sorts of reasons for a long time. And truth is, between this and the left wing support for North Korea and denial of the abduction issue, I mean, these are big things that have done a lot of harm. But that said, fact remains. it's not just up to the testimony of this Yoshida guy and the Asahi article. There are now, mobilized hundreds of, if not thousands, of former comfort women in Korea who are there now. Now it's based on their testimonies. And I know a lot of Japanese right-wingers who attack those testimonies, and they point out, inconsistencies and things that they say, oh, look, those lovely old grandmothers who say they were raped by my grandfathers while lying. And maybe they are, maybe they're not. But are you going to say that to them? And do you think it's good for Japan's international image to be seen to be attacking a bunch of old ladies that the government played some part in raping 70 years ago? No, it doesn't look good. And so empowering the people to say, told you so, got you, doesn't help Japan. Everyone's angry at the Asahi, and they're going to be angry at the Asahi. But even then, bashing up on the Asahi just looks like a denial festival, which, again, isn't good for Japan's reputation. So I don't know, really. It's just a huge mess. And, bloody Asahi. And this is the thing, I mentioned before, you talk about the left being pretty thoroughly discredited now. It really is. It's kind of, when they mess up and their desire to probably do a good thing, to try to discredit the military and the right wing, and to try to discredit, the wartime government and distance Japan from that, which is what a lot of foreigners in Japan think Japan should be doing, and why we instinctively tend to favor the Asahi and stuff over like the unapologetic Sankei and Yomiuri. When they screw up like this, it does nobody any favors, and they're going to get a beating for it. So that's what's happened. The Taste 1962. Damn me and my nuanced views. Just tell you who to hate. Honestly, I hate the editors of the Asahi Shimbun. I think everyone is pretty much, even the left is hating them right now because of the damage they've done to the comfort women that people want to help. Everyone seems pretty aligned that the editorial staff of the Asahi Shimbun should be strung up for this. So yes, I'll come back to the comments on that now, but the Taste 1962, that's who you should hate. But yeah, Asahi screwed up really, really bad on this. And the problem is that this is going to really, really just make an already pretty bleak situation with the comfort women debate even worse. And you know what as well? So just tonight, the Sankei Shimbun, I told you the Sankei and the Yomiuri are the far right-wing papers, right? They are typically very unapologetic towards Korea. The editor, the Seoul bureau chief of the Sankei Shimbun has been called in for questioning by the Seoul police and has been prohibited from traveling, supposedly in connection with a defamatory article published in the Sankei Shimbun about when the Seoul ship sank. On that day, there's 7 hours missing from the president's schedule, which apparently some local Korean newspapers, and the Chosun Ilbo, like mainstream big newspapers, they reported in Korean the speculation around where the president was that day, that the Sankei reprinted in Japanese. Apparently a citizens group, which when Koreans say citizens group, they mean a far right-wing, racist organization, has filed a complaint with the police about the defamation of the president to the police, and the police have acted upon it, and they've actually gone out 3 days after the Asahi thing. They've gone out and put a detention warrant or something or other, a travel ban, and they've called him for questioning the chief of the Sankei newspaper in Korea. For defamation of the Korean president. I don't know if it's linked to the Asahi thing and if it's some sort of retaliation against the right-wing newspaper for Japan beating up on the left-wing newspaper that's kind of nice to Korea. I'd like to think that they're not that immature, but it's kind of strange. And the article, the defamation itself, originated from mainstream Korean news sources that weren't prosecuted. So, the Sankei, when they were responding to the detention as well, were saying, it's hard for us to understand how we could be being singled out for this when we were simply republishing and reprinting news that was already being circulated in local mainstream Korean media. But yeah, for whatever reason, they've decided to beat up on a politically, the right-wing politically aligned press in Korea. And again, all this stuff is just not helpful, but that's what happens. Let's get back into the comments, because I see there's still some comments about lamb. So let's go. Makin Sibula, blood sausage. I actually like blood sausage, but I'm not going to take it the way Please just don't bring gifts. Come, we'll get coffee, we'll talk, we'll hang out, we might shoot a video together, we'll talk philosophy, but please do not give me blood, alcohol, or anything. Just blood, just don't. Please. Dan Skasa, vodka tastes vile. You're forced to drink it every occasion here. It isn't much fun. Yeah, well, especially cheap stuff is pretty awful too. I'm sorry to hear that. You should go somewhere else, I guess. I don't know. It's Poland has good pickles. I always like Polish pickles. My wife likes German pickles, but I like Polish pickles. Yeah, I come from a big pickle family, so yes, that's one thing Poland has going for it. You can bring some Polish gherkins or dill, salt, cucumbers if you like. Martin Sebula, talking about web stuff there. Dan, the taste 1962. How's Tokyo? Did I get all washed away by the typhoon? Did Fukushima plant blow over? No, we just got a lot of rain, just the usual stuff. そうですね。ヤンプ問題、やっぱりコメントしにくいですね。答えられる範囲で。いや、I think もう多分もうすでに随分言い過ぎだかなとは思うんだけど、まあでもなんか、多分外国の人も特にそのニュアンスもあんまりよく分かってないと思うんだよね。もうそもそもその朝日の記事がどんだけこれ全体のきっかけになったのか、ね、取り消すのがもうどんだけなんだとかってのことが多分みんな分かってないから、これかなりもうこんだけ大きな外交問題を起こしたニュース記事あんまり市場ないと思うんだから、まあそういう意味でそれみんななんかちゃんと認識してもらって、でもう誰がいけないのかって明らかにヤンプ賛成反対問題何なんでも、とにかく朝日の編集長は絶対まあ当時でさ30年前だけどね、でも、今でもなんかもう絶対これバッシングしたいと思う、していいと思う。別に左翼でも右翼でもこんな失敗はあんまり許せないねと is what I think. I'm just talking to content side because yes, he put it out there. Yeah, it's just some rain, no big deal anyway. People like the show. 514, glad you like it. Razel, good, you had a shower of rain, and yeah, the rain here is intense. I mean, you do get rain like it in Australia during schools, but not in New Zealand, not like I mean, 10 centimeters of rain per hour you can get here, or in fact, yeah, crazy. Anyway, which again, Tokyo's not that bad. If Japan were multicultural, racial, as others, mostly those of Western, the Zainichi thing's not as messed up as we struggle now. I know, it's just made me think this way. Raymond out, let me try that again. If Japan were as multicultural as others, most of those Western, this Zainichi thing, that's probably a mistype. It's not messed up as we struggle now. I always explain to people the Zainichi, the easiest way to understand the Zainichi thing is perhaps to go back to when Europe was a little bit less multiracial back in the 19th century, and to think about the Jewish situation there. Jews were very integrated in the societies that they were in, but they suffered discrimination and they were mistrusted, and a lot of them got away. A lot of very, very successful historical figures in Europe, in spite of the discrimination, were very successful, and that's also very much like Japan. In fact, and it's kind of funny. I mean, I have connections. I have many Jewish friends and I have many Zainichi friends, and you talk to them both, and it's kind of funny how discrimination on these complexes, when felt, they're incredibly motivating. I think it's actually linked. I think the high performance and for the negative stereotypes of what Zainichis end up doing, you look at the highest flyers in Japan society, you look at Masayoshi Son, and you read about him and you read interviews of him, and you understand how incredibly driven he was when he was young. And there's no question, it comes out like plainly when you're reading that the sensitivity about his cultural identity was a major, and that sense of discrimination and so on that he felt, that was a major motivator and a factor in his success and in his just ruthlessness with business now even. And I have met, I've talked with people from bad backgrounds before in this thing, and the same thing, when people decide to become anti-social forces, discrimination feeds into that. And there are a lot of parallels with their history. It's very different now, of course. Europe is so multicultural, but it's not it's not dissimilar. Keith and this. One, first time seeing this live. You'll be in Japan September 6th. Do you need an invite for the summer meetup? No, you do not. Although I would like you to RSVP just so I know the numbers of people. But all the information is that you're just going to pay 3,000 yen at the door and you're in Nomihodai. Meet us all. So you're welcome to come. Keith and is one. Love my channel. Keep up the great work. Yes. Your wife, Japanese, says my Japanese is flawless. No. It's not flawless, but I'm good at faking it. So thank you very much for that. Check the link in the description, RSVP on Facebook, just like David Nemo Oyajis says. Indeed, my nuanced views. Sorry about that. You should hate white Western males. That's right. I'm willing to take the hit on this one. Actually, if it would fix all diplomatic relations between Korea and Japan, I would take the hit, actually. I mean, I'm sure in some way, at some levels, white men are responsible. We're responsible for most of the world's problems. Like, seriously, if you go if you go back to like Perry and the colonization of Korea, it's pretty much my fault probably on some level. So yeah, I'm willing to take that one. Japan trying to shrug off against the solution has never worked against the Korean and the Chinese government. Indeed, Kotaro times 4. 新聞の不正を確認する新聞が必要ですね。Well, that's right. A newspaper dedicated to just fact-checking. That's kind of what the internet has become, and that's something that's made a lot of journalists very uncomfortable because they don't like having their bullshit called on them. And hence I got featured on a full A3 page of the Japan Times because some bullshit they got caught, which I only played a very little part in, but yeah, the internet, もうインターネットそういう機能やってんのかな、関西さん。Cultural times 4 talking about trying to shrug off has never worked. Well, this is because nationalism and racism is built into the political and national ideology of both PRC and unfortunately South Korea, which is a liberal democracy and should be getting away from that stuff. But they can't, and frankly, like Japan can't because it's been so discredited because of the war. But Korea never has had to face up to the same sort of war guilt as Japan, even though Koreans were war criminals in the Japanese military, just like the Japanese. But they never really had to face up to the racial ideology aspects. And in fact, there's a lot of the racial ideology that Japan practiced during World War II are still practiced in North and South Korea. If you look at the bile that comes out and the ethnocentrism of those countries, that far exceeds anything that you see in Japan. So yeah, and in those countries, it is well, maybe this is exaggerated by the media, but it is considered a virtue to be anti-Japanese. I mean, in China, it's absolutely clear. I mean, during the riot, during the pogroms 2 years ago, the Audi dealership that had a big sign that we will march on the graves of 10,000 dead Japanese people. Buy an Audi. I'm not going to buy an Audi. Audi didn't even punish that dealership for it because that was practically them just trying to protect the dealership by saying that they would commit genocide against Japan. I mean, that's pretty mentally sick level of racist nationalism, and unfortunately, it's similar in other countries. It's good to bash on Japan for any reason. So yeah, shrugging off doesn't work, but nothing's going to work. That's the conclusion I've come to with a lot of that. J Demon, you made it. Wood long of the white devil. Yes, we're still winning. If you ever want to see it, there's a great monologue by C.K. Lewis on being white, which, he points out that it's very good. It's this whole thing about you can't be racist to white people because we've just had it so good. You can go anytime and you should watch it anyway. Google it, C.K. Lewis being white, and that's pretty much it. We'll take the blame, but we're gonna pay for it. Pretty hard for all the trouble we've caused. All I'd like to think we've done, is again, Monty Python and the Romans, Life of Brian talking about what have the Romans ever done for us. We've done some nice things here and there, but no, we're gonna pay pretty hard, probably. Ray Renard, stop that. Genchari, 売れなくなれば少し変わるのかな。売れなくなれば何が売れなくなる？朝日新聞どうかな。でもそもそもそういう編集方針のところだよね。その考え方、人のその編集長の考え方からその新聞の文化、もうある意味で叩かれて、売れなくなってもまだ変なこと言うと思うんだけど、でもこういうことをもっとちゃんと注意して見ることがまずは反省してほしいところですね。それは多分ね、こんだけ大きな失敗は するかなと思うけど、そうするためにはもうしばらく、まあ、正当なバッシングが必要だと思います。自分でも。朝日別に読んだり、リンク貼ったり好きだけど、手もこなしっぱは確かにもう、罰つけべきだと思うんでね。Genghis Khan is Oh, Michael Mitza, that's right. Actually, we were just talking today about how my son is, he's part Genghis Khan and part Yorkshire. If you go back 500 years on both sides, assuming the Mongolian, heritage of Japanese people. But yeah, Genghis Khan's the shit. How the hell you end up with a mix of Yorkshire and Genghis Khan, I don't know, but he's a cool kid. Yes, people are cool. Sorry about the other day, Hiko, Michael Mitsuru. You didn't expect the comments to blow up like that. Did they blow up like that? I didn't even notice that. On 2.5 Oyajis, well, it's all good, honestly. It's all pretty cool. The Pikachu event in Japan looks epic, which it does. Hiko, am I going to get the iPhone 6? I am. I've got the iPhone 5. I've waited 2 years. I tell my wife I'll hold on for 2 years. I'm not going to buy one every year, but I'm going to get the iPhone 6 totally. That's cool. Marston Sabelo, Jewish chicks are crazy smart. From your college experience, they progress through math with minimum effort. And there's some interesting research on that as well. Like, just the fact that they weren't allowed, that they were restricted in Europe from doing certain professions, and they were kind of funneled into professions which, they culturally fostered smartness. With Chinese throughout Asia and throughout the world as well, there's a similar phenomenon of just culturally the emphasis on education meant that, well, I guess it led to selective breeding of smart kids who did better, in cultures that prized that more highly. It's really, really interesting. Yeah, I've met some smart Jewish girls, I guess. Some not so smart ones too, actually, but yeah. Midori Komatsuzaki, you don't have any information about me since you recently found me through Victor, but I sounds really interesting. ありがとうございます。まあ、ちょっと謎の男でいいと思いますけど、はい、ぜひよろしくお願いします。It boggles you why there are so little women that you see in the programming and engineering fields. Well, those cultures in those fields, again, because they're so masculine, especially around system development and so on, there's a lot of talk about how sexist those industries are as well and how tough they are to be women in. I mean, as a stupid guy, I never really appreciated how tough it is to be women in those industries. But apparently it is. And it is a shame. And it is a shame. I guess it's that old thing that women, little girls play with dolls and guys play with, earth-moving machines, and there's probably there's a lot of culture in that men are fostered to go in that direction of being engineers and women aren't, which is a huge waste to our society, I think. Ninja Turtles, that is all. Michael Kelly, well, Ninja Turtles, I mean, I like Ninja Turtles. Lacey, you're moving to Japan in November. Can I recommend any good controversial writers to read up on Japanese politics history? Controversial? Well, actually, I still always talk about the book I like, which is What is Japan by Taichi Sakai. I don't know if you can find that book, but that was the first book that really opened up my eyes. And I found it really, really uncontroversial and boring when I first got it. Nowadays, the best thing to read are like blogs and newspapers, I think. I'll come back to you on that one. Let me think about that. I haven't really read in depth since before I came to Japan, so most of the sources I have are really out of date now. But yeah. I find the news here itself alone is just interesting enough. It is like a drama, and when you follow it over time and you become kind of smart on it, you watch it with an opinion. That's good enough. But and being able to make friends you can talk politics with is a good. That's the best way to go. J. Demon, C.K. Lewis is indeed the shit. Renard Lacey, the King of Morons, he's very controversial indeed. The King of Morons. Ninja Turtles, that's right, we just said that before. Yukio Mishima, well, he's very controversial and probably a good read. I haven't read him. I should have read him, but I haven't. But yes, classic figure. Very far right, but very interesting character. Ildepin CCE, I'm live and not blocked in Germany. You only notice our nose. So maybe it's my Wirecast thing that causes the blocking setting in Germany. Maybe it works with the Hangouts. I don't understand that. I know there's this thing with Germany always being difficult. I guess with the Hangouts, maybe because they're police. Maybe if I took off my clothes now, they would cut off the transmission. But yeah, I don't know. So anyway, I'm not blocked, so that is pretty good. So yeah, and as Chris is saying, I think in German, I can't read German, but yeah, I think it might be Ycast that's causing it to get blocked, and maybe the Hangouts use that causes it not to be blocked, so that's good. Kotaro was saying that I'm the only one who actually studies enough to talk about history status of Japan, not dissing anyone's in particular, by the way. Thank you very much, Kotaro-san. Glad to be verified that I'm not spouting shit. And by the way, you can call me out anytime if you think I'm talking shit, because it's politics. I mean, this is the thing. It's like everybody disagrees and everybody's kind of right in their own way. But I try to be objective. I try to give all the views because I find it interesting, and I think I want to get that solutions on them. But yes, Midori Komatsuzaki, please feel free to check me all you like. And comments going all now, but I've got to wrap up. I didn't even get to my Flipboard. Let me just quickly go to the Flipboard because it's there. The link is under the video. The stories that I've covered in it this week. I did cover, am I an overprivileged white guy in Japan, which I thought was kind of funny. Students, there's an article on students now with a view to becoming tour guides and becoming more international and helping foreigners during the 2020 Olympics. There's an article by NHK World in English talking about people trying to become more internationalized for the 2020 Olympics. There's a really interesting thing which I got some comments back on, 12 social etiquette rules for traveling in Japan for travelers. Someone asked me on Twitter, is the cover up your tattoos thing still good advice? And I'd say it still is. I mean, yeah, there are more people with tattoos walking around and they are becoming more social, and if it's like a little bunny rabbit or something, it's probably okay. But there again, I've seen guys with like a lot of tattoos, like foreign guys, and where they've been shown, and you can kind of tell they do make people uncomfortable. I mean, it's you know, it is better to cover up if you can cover up. I mean, I think it's that still is valid. But yeah, 12 tips, and it's kind of interesting. I think it's legit and holds up for me. The other things which I've got is a disillusioned 24-year-old expat talking about how the high times have gone, as indeed they have if you're an expat. Some articles about the Asahi retraction, which I've got there. 5 fun ways to experience Japan without leaving home, which is something I based my whole learning Japan on. For example, community service, communication, abandoned places, hobby time, analog sources. I did a lot of reading. I did a lot of stuff in New Zealand to try to create a Japanese environment, which was great for me. Very interesting survey, actually. That currently, for right now, for teens, when they look at the most recognized and popular media stars, right now, YouTube outranks Hollywood in terms of the most recognized. There's a ranking, and it's really remarkable to look at. I mean, the number, like the most recognized or the most appealing celebrities, like for US teens, according to some survey, they were scored. Number 1, Smosh, YouTube. Number 2, Fine Brothers, YouTube. Number 3, PewDiePie, YouTube. KSI, YouTube. Ryan Higa, YouTube. Paul Walker, Jennifer Lawrence, Katy Perry, they start to come up, but the Shane Dawson is still ahead of Katy Perry. It's kind of remarkable. We're living in an age where, you know, doofuses like me on YouTube, well, no, not actually doofuses like me, but YouTubers anyway, self-started people are beating Hollywood, a machine designed to brainwash us into thinking they're the most awesome people. So that's kind of cool. We're living in a new age. I thought that was really awesome, so I put an article there about that. And there's a Japanese article I put there of every single prefecture, all 47 prefectures, places that you have to go see before you die in each prefecture. Worth getting the Google Translate out for if you're planning a Japan trip, because I think it's a really good list. Another thing on blood types, which I always like to talk about, and links in there to Summer Gathering, which go and check out. Please go on RSVP. I will see you in person, face to face, September 6th if you can make it. So it's going to be awesome. As always, it has been, sorry for the technical problems tonight. Sorry I can't do the full show like I wanted to do with all the graphics and the comments, but it's still pretty cool, right? We had a good conversation. I told you about the Asahi stuff, so I think we did pretty well. And that is it. I am going to sign off now because it is late. We've got work tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed the show, and I hope you'll come back and join me on Wednesday for 2.5 Oyajis, and next Sunday back again here for Tokyo Tonight Live. Hope you enjoyed that, and boom. Peace.